Okay, so I've just finished talking about liquidity through Discord chat, but I guess I'll record it again, going through everything so that we can better support this project and fight against whale manipulations. So let's look at the current liquidity pool. If you go to info.uniswap and check the liquidity, you'll see that right now it looks like this. So the red line here is our current price, and the right side means price below, the liquidity pool below the current price, and the left side is liquidity covering higher price ranges, basically. So it's lower to the right and higher to the left. Right now, we have a huge volume of liquidity above the current price, which means it takes a huge amount of buying orders in order to increase the price all the way until actually 300. But from 100 to 200, we have a huge walls here, which act as resistance and prevent us to quickly go through this range. And this could be due to two reasons. One, when we were flying to the moon, a lot of people are putting range from 100 to 200, but as well dumps, we just got pushed back. So all those liquidity pool now act as resistance. Two, whales intentionally creating those walls to suppress the rising of the current price, which we have seen many times. You'll see that whenever they want to dump, they'll be putting a huge wall right in front of the current price so that it's very hard to move the price upwards. And when they see the buying order decreases, they dump, which will quickly move the price down a lot. And the reason is we don't have a lot of liquidity pools to cover the lower ranges. So you'll see that those volumes are much, much smaller than the liquidity pool above the current price. What this means is that it takes a lot less volume a lot less sales to push the price downwards. So you'll see a huge drop when they sell like 500K or a million. And how can we solve this? Well, one thing we can do is add liquidity pool below the current price. So what I mean is you want to put liquidity pool with range. Say if the current price is 98, you can put 96 to like 70 or 80. And if we all do this, then we can build out the walls behind us, which will act as support. The reason is that if a whale dumps, but we have a huge wall here, then this wall will absorb all the dumps and keep the price stable in whatever range we put here. So that when it dumps, the price didn't change. And if a lot of buy orders comes in, you're moving upwards. Okay. Now you may ask, what's the benefit of putting liquidity below our range? Well, let me explain it on paper. So say the current price is 98. If we put our liquidity below 98, say 96 to 80, for example, if a whale dumps or a lot of sell order happens, then the price will drop. And as it drops, it will get into your liquidity pool, right? What you'll do is So you say you put USDC in the liquidity pool, then as the price drops, the sell orders will be swapping with your USDC. So in return, you will get and they get USDC, right? That's what sales works. Now, as they sell more and more the price will slowly going downwards, and you will be buying at each price points, basically. So if they go through the whole liquidity pool you provides, at this point, you have no USDC left. All your USDC are converted to And the average price you purchase at is the average between your maximum and your minimum of your liquidity pool. So in this example, you'll be purchasing at $88 because that's the midpoint of your range, because you'll be purchasing AMs at 96, 95, 94, all the way to 80. So you'll be purchasing at an average roughly $88. Now, if you withdraw your liquidity pool when it reaches outside of your range, say 79, for example, you will be withdrawing your NM back. So the sell orders swap NM with USDC, and at this point, all your USDC becomes NM, so you withdraw NM back. And the purchasing price is 88, right? But why you are lost is that if you instead didn't put USDC here, so let's say you put 1,000 USDC. If you didn't put 1,000 USDC here, instead when the price drops to 79, you put all your 1,000 USDC to buy AM at the lowest price. You will get a bit more AM than if you put liquidity pool here, because the purchasing price per AM is at the lowest price possible. So that's what you will lose compared to providing the liquidity. So usually you won't withdraw your liquidity pool when it goes outside. You only withdraw when it's still within your range, so that you wouldn't be losing like this. But by providing liquidity pool, if the price goes within your range, you will be earning fees. And how you earn fees is literally based on how many trades happens within your range. So if regardless of whether it's a sell or buy, whenever a trade or sell, a buy or sell happens in your range, you'll earn 1% of the amount of that transaction. However, that's if there's only one liquidity provider within that range. If there's multiple providers within that range, then all of the liquidity provider will be sharing fees among, so the 1% fee will be shared among all the liquidity providers within that range. So again, why we need to do this is because if enough people put liquidity behind the current price, then it will be very hard to push the price down. Because in order to drop the price all the way to 80, it has to swap with all the USDC that's been put into this range. So if we have enough liquidity behind our price, then no matter how many AMs they dump, they cannot push the price over this range. And this will act as a support, because if they finish dumping, the price is still within this range, then they have no power to push the price backwards anymore. And then if any buy orders happens, then they will be just using their USDC or Ethereum. They'll be buying. Yeah, they'll just keep buying, and then the price will go up, and this will not prevent the price going up. So of course, this is the ideal scenario, but this is not the case right now because, as I shown in the Uniswap graph, right now we have a huge wall in front of us, which whale are exploiting it right now, where they'll be putting a huge wall, say from 140 to 110. Then if we want to move the price up to past 140, we have to buy through all the NMs they put within this range. If the buying power is not enough, then we'll just be stuck here. If our support is not enough, as of right now, like this, then an equal amount of sell will push the price a lot further than that amount when it's used to buy MM, because there's a lot more MM here than the USDC below. So, okay, another way to look at this is you can think of liquidity above the current price as sell orders, because as more people buys, they'll be swapping their currency with NM, and the more buy orders, then your NM will be less and less, and once you sold out all the NMs, the price will go above your range. And if you put liquidity pool below the current price, say you put USDC, then that act as buy orders, because if you put the range below current price, say 90 to 60, then as the price goes down, people will be swapping NM with your USDC. So if you want to sell or buy, usually it could be better to set it up this way. However, we really don't need that many MM in front of the current price, because they are acting as resistance right now, and we are really having a hard time to move the price up. So we really want you to put liquidity below the current price, so the price is harder to move down and easier to move up. So there's one more thing I haven't talked about, is that what's the risk of providing liquidity pools? So I will tell you about, if you only put USDC below the current price, the risk is if the price goes significantly lower, you'll be end up with NM which you bought at the price you set in your liquidity pool range. But if the price go like all the way to 40, for example, if there's really a huge amount of dumps, then what you'll be buying NM at a higher price. That's the risk there. If you set up the liquidity pool above the current price, the risk is that you'll be selling your MM at the price that's the average of your range. So if you set up, for example, 140 to 110, you'll be selling your MM at an average of 120 if it goes all the way to here. However, if the price keeps going up, say we reach 200, then you will lose the chance of selling NM at 200. Your NM are sold at an average of 110. That's what we call impermanent loss. So there's impermanent loss both ways. If it goes outside of your your range. Like if it goes below of your range, you'll be buying NM at higher price. If it goes way above your range, then you'll be selling NM at a lower price. That's what we call impermanent loss. So the best thing you can do is withdraw your pool when it's still within your range. And how can we ensure that? Well, by putting a range that's covering a larger range, so that all the trades happens within your range, so that you keep earning fees and it stays within your range, so that you don't lose as much when the price goes upwards or downwards. And so one more thing, the ratio between the pairs would depend on how much, so how far you are from the current price. So if the current price is 100, if your range is 110 from 110 all the way down to 50, then your ratio would be the NM ratio versus the ratio between NM and the other currency would be the ratio of the difference between the higher end with the current price to the current price to the lower end. So right now that would be that's 10% up and that's 15% down. So I'm not sure the exact amount, but basically you'll be putting much less NM here and put a lot of USDC here. So if you put a liquidity pool from 110 to 50, then you have to provide a lot more USDC than MM, because this range is a lot smaller. So if they are buying orders, they only need to exchange a small amount of MM to go from 100 to 110. But because your range sets a lot lower here, then you need a lot more USDC to cover the whole range, right? So if you only want to provide USDC, you will be setting your range completely below the current price, so that so that you wouldn't risk of selling any of your NM, because when they sells, the price goes down, which goes into your range, and they will swap MM with your USDC. When the price goes up, they do not interact with your pool. So whatever amount you put in, you can just pull that amount back. But if the price goes up, you don't earn any fees because they are not interacting with your pool. So a lot of times people will put a small amount of MM and a huge amount of USDC, so that not only it provides a huge support behind the current price, it also makes sure that you are still earning fees with the current price, right? Just like my example here, it still covers the current price. So if the price moves upwards a little, then you are earning fees here. And if the price is oscillating, then you just keep earning fees, more fees, as we're trading sideways, basically. So it is a good way to earn passive money if you want to provide liquidity and you think that the price will stay within your range. But right now we just really have too much selling order above the current price. That's why we're asking all of you to provide liquidity below the current price, So it'll be a lot harder to move the price down instead. Yeah. Is there anything I didn't talk about? Oh, so let me also quickly talk about exchanges, I guess. So let's take Gate.io as an example. They act as an order book. What it means is it doesn't actually do the transactions, but it tracks all the sell orders and buy orders, which is why it saves you fees, because it doesn't actually issue the transactions over the Ethereum network, so that the fee you are paying are really just paying you're paying fees to the exchange, which is a lot less than the gas fees usually. Now, how does this affect the current price on Uniswap? Well, Uniswap's price is primarily determined by the liquidity pool, as I explained previously. Like the more liquidity pool above the current price, then it'll be a lot harder to move price up. If there's a lot of liquidity below the current price, it'll be a lot harder to move the price downwards. So it's dependent on how much the liquidity we provide at certain ranges. However, on Gate.io, it's all determined by the sell orders and buy orders we put on there. So you'll see a bunch of buy orders on top, like they'll be buying at 130. They'll be selling at 130, 131, 132, and it also shows the amount where people want to buy at this price. So you know exactly how much you can sell at this price to move the price upwards. And there'll be sell orders like 129, 128. So when you want to sell, if you want to instantly sell, you'll be selling at the highest buy order. And when you want to buy, you'll be buying at the lowest sell order, basically. And this is different from liquidity pool because, I should say, this doesn't really affecting the liquidity pool, so it wouldn't necessarily change the price on Uniswap. That's why you'll see the prices on the exchanges and Uniswap does not in sync. And the reason is that they are not determined by the same thing. One is determined by buying and sell orders. The other is by liquidity pools. Of course, I said they are actually similar because if you have a huge buy order here, then it's basically acting as a huge walls in front. And if you have a huge sell, that's the sell order. If you have a huge sell order in front, then that's like a huge wall in front of the current price. Because every time people buy, they'll be buying at this price instead of the price afterwards, right? Now, how can we make sure the price are in sync? So for example, a lot of people are buying on exchanges and the price going upwards, right? Let's say it goes all the way to 150, but on Uniswap, it's still 130. Now, usually people would do arbitrage, which means they see the price differences and you will be earning money by buying on Uniswap because it's lower price, and then sell it on on the exchange, which will, because you are selling here, so you'll be moving the price downwards. And because you are buying from Uniswap, you move the price upwards. And eventually the two will be in sync, right? Because this one is higher, this one is lower, they'll meet at some point. So let's say 140, for example, right? So whenever one of the places, so whenever there's a difference in price, then people will do arbitrage where they buy from the lower place and then sell it to the higher place. So that's how you're naturally in sync. And the people who does arbitrage will earn from doing that. So that's how it would affect the price. And if you remember, when it first gets listed on Gate.io, because there's a very low volume being traded there, so that, well, also not a lot of people are looking at the price on Gate.io. So the difference actually were quite huge, and it will only be in sync when enough people seeing this as an opportunity to earn, and they'll be doing arbitrage between different exchanges, which will make the price in sync. Okay, I think that's all I want to say. So thank you for listening. I'll keep monitoring the Discord chat and help you out if you have questions. Of course, if you have more questions, you can leave down in the comments and I'll answer the best as I can. And as a disclaimer, I try my best to explain based on my own personal understandings. If I did make any mistakes, please point it out so that everyone can learn with me. And I hope this project can grow bigger and bigger, and then big enough that everyone, include your families, friends, they all know about it. And we'll meet at the jacuzzi bar on the moon. Goodbye.